Good morning to all my friends and family, and welcome to this episode of Jim's 5am Club. It's Tuesday morning. It's a very sad day because today I heard some very sad news, that a friend of ours, a friend of the family, a dear friend of the family, passed away today after a 2.5 year battle with cancer. A young girl, the same age as my youngest daughter, which makes it even harder to process, even harder to get my mind around. The daughter of a good friend of mine, who I went to university with, a friend of mine that I've worked with, not once, but in two separate corporations. And just to think that today, that family, my friend and his wife, who only had one child, their one and only, their daughter, their beautiful daughter, Jota, is no longer with us. But I'm strengthened. I think we all are strengthened in the belief and the love that God has, and to know that she's in a better place, no longer suffering, no longer living in anguish, and in a place of harmony, in a place of refreshment, and a place where she can live forever and ever in God's oneness, in God's radiance. So I'm up here at Nelson Bay. It's Tuesday. I'm up here at a place called Berrubi Point on Stockton Beach. It's a beautiful, long, pristine beach which goes on for about 30 kilometres. And to the right we have sand dunes, and to the left we have the magnificent Pacific Ocean. A place that no doubt Jota has been to before. She's walked along this beach where I'm walking, and her spirit will forever be with us. We've got some camels here walking along the beach. Just something pretty, just something unusual. And what I'd like to do is to continue this walk and talk, and to go through a book summary. And as I said, I'm very down today at receiving this sad news. Jota had been courageously fighting cancer for 2.5 years. Almost 10% of her life was in this battle, in this challenge. But as we said, today is a different day. Today is a day where she no longer needs to fight. She has won that battle. So the book summary that I want to go through today, with Jota in mind, is a book entitled The Lost Art of Connecting by Susan McPherson. And Susan, in her book, kicks off with an observation where she announces that every single person has something to offer, something special to offer the world, and every single person has connections to others. Jota was connected to myself and my wife, my children. As I said before, I went to university and I worked not in one organisation but in two separate organisations with her father, her brilliant father Peter, who went on to become a very, very successful chairman, chief executive officer, managing director on the global scene. So much so that he actually negotiated face-to-face a deal with Warren Buffett. But today Peter and Canella, as we said before, are facing the biggest challenge in their life, having to deal with this enormous trauma that's come into their lives. But as we said before, every single person is unique. Every single person is connected in some way. And this book from this author is about examining the connections that we have with each other, the connections that we have with people, and trying to build deeper and more meaningful connections with the people that come into our lives, even though they may come into our lives momentarily. The author here says is that you don't need a lot of time. You don't need a lifetime of 70. You don't need to spend an eternity with people to form a meaningful relationship and to make a difference in their lives. So this book is all about making and keeping meaningful and genuine relationships with people using the gather, ask and do method. But we have to understand also that making relationships and deepening relationships takes skill. So people tend to stick to their social safety nets for fear of the unknown and limit their growth and development. So this book is all about a call to action for each and every one of us to do more with your relationships, with the people that you touch in your life, and to know that people aren't going to be around forever. And sometimes that fleeting connection, that fleeting touch that you have with somebody may change your life, may change their life. But we're all different from each other and we're all different for each other. So we can live, learn, connect and basically leverage off each and every one of us and each of the people that we come into contact with. So this book here reminds us of the beauty of life, of the beauty of the people that come into our life, and how we can somehow make more of that happen, and to deepen the relationships that we have, and to allow us and them to grow and develop. So the first formal point that comes from this author is that in order to develop meaningful connections, we all have to offer our attention to help those around us. So many people limit themselves because they are purely transactional in their interactions with people, i.e. they seek to gain or to get from people. They see relationships as a tool. Bear with me. They see relationships as a tool And we need to switch out of this mindset. We need to change the way we see relationships. We need to change the way we see people, to see people as more than just a transaction, than more than just a tool, than more than just something to gain from. We should be seeing people and the opportunity to relate to them as an opportunity to share in their lives and to learn to gain through giving. And I know that Yota, through my daughters, documented her journey, her struggle through her Instagram page, where she was able to talk about the challenges in an honest and clear way, to be authentic, to open up and talk about her fears, her journey, her unique journey, and to make some meaning out of that journey and to help others vicariously be part of that journey, and to feel the pain and to know the pain that all of us around us are feeling at some way, shape or form at different times of our lives. Because sadly, life has its ups and downs. We all have our good days. You know, we have the ebbs and flows of good times. We're all going to have challenging times at different times, and we don't really know what's going on in each person's life, in each person's head, in each person's heart. But one thing for sure and for certain, suffering and pain is something that is not unique to certain people, but their ability to work through it, their ability to manage it and to deal with it is what is tremendously strengthening and empowering for those who get to be involved, just like in the Titanic, the movie Titanic. At some point in time, the fact that something happens close to us invites us to get involved and to be able to be part of the experience and to enable and to help those who are troubled, who are challenged, to know that their experience, their problems, their struggles are not just for them, but others feel for them, others pain for them. And one of the biggest issues and biggest problems, I guess, for all of us is to know that somebody is in pain, is in suffering, and knowing that there's nothing much you can do for them other than, of course, to be there, to be an audience, to be a loving audience, and of course to pray for them, and to hope and pray that they do gain the strength that they need, and their families gain the strength, and we all gain strength from it, and to know that life for all of us is fleeting. The end for all of us will come like a lightning bolt. It will come like a Formula One car streaking down the straight. You can hear it in the distance, and before you know it, it's past you and it's in the distance. That's how quickly our lives will go. And as we get closer and closer to the end of our lives, and so too our lives will accelerate at an increasing speed, and we won't have any ability to slow it down, to stop it, to change the direction of our fate. It will just keep on coming at us at an increasing speed, and it will be just like the speed of the exponential speed is what I'm looking for. So it's not a linear speed, it becomes exponentially quicker as we get closer to the end, knowing of course that the end is not the end. Being Christians, we know, we believe that the end is never the end, but just a bend in the road, and our life will continue on everlasting, forever and ever. And we wait for that day, we wait for that beautiful day, the day of the second coming. And my prayers for Jota is that she is amongst the first to be resurrected by Jesus at the second coming, for Jesus to recognize her, to see her, to remember her struggle, to remember our prayers, to remember the prayers and hopes and pain that her parents are currently going through, and all of us are going through, and to raise her and to resurrect her on that beautiful, fateful day that we all hope to be part of, where we can be together again as one in God. So going on with this book summary, and it's hard, but I need to flip-flop and to go back and forth because I just can't get the beautiful Jota out of my mind, and it's going to get harder. It's going to get harder as the days get closer and closer to the funeral to be able to process it, because it is a dramatic day, a traumatic day in many people's lives. But the author here says that we need to build our relationships with people. We need to be giving in our relationships, not takers but givers, to give wherever we can. By giving people, we tend to be kinder and it's more welcoming for us. Everyone can feel when a relationship is superficial, such as the social media, but nothing beats the genuine face-to-face relationship, the relationship that we can enjoy, even if it's fleeting, even if it happened 10 years ago or 20 years ago. You know, there are friends of mine that I haven't seen for 20 years, but whenever we catch up, face-to-face that is, whenever we catch up, it feels as if time hasn't changed and we can continue our conversations, the same conversations that we left off 20 years ago, as if no time has passed, that nothing has changed. No, even though we may look a little bit different, our souls continue on and appear to be the same as what they were when we last left. So the important thing that the author tells us here is that with our relationships, the deep relationships that we try and build, is to give without expecting anything in return. Just like God gave us creation without expecting anything in return, we too must learn to live and love like God, by giving without expecting anything in return. And this way our relationships will flourish and continue to flourish. Our bonds will be more authentic, and our social life will thrive. So today's an opportunity for each and every one of us to try and learn, to try and take this example, to try and take this moment as something that we can do as a point that we can start, as a line in the sand, so that from day to day forward we are more giving, we are more loving to those around us, we are more accepting, and we don't worry about the things that really aren't worth worrying about. The things where in 5 years or 5 minutes from now you look back onto and you say, well, it wasn't even worth worrying about. So embrace the people around you, accept them, love them, because as we said, we don't know where our tomorrow leads us, and we don't know where their tomorrow will lead them as well. So the author here goes on to talk about another point. Their second point that comes from this book is where they say here, or she says, we need to try asking for help, because by asking for help you're actually creating a bond with somebody. Now you can expand your current circle. So this is the point where we say gather. Try and be welcoming. Try and open up your circle and bring more people into your circle. Be a gatherer. Be a friend generator. Create friendships. Connect your friends to other people. Be open and be willing to be generous with your friendships, because you don't know where those introductions are going to lead. You don't know what other friendships are going to flourish from the friendships that you currently have. Just so you're aware, the ocean here has been pounding, so much so that it's eaten into the bank here and taken away a heap of sand. I've never seen the water so high here at Berrubi Point. This is a massive full tide where the water, as you can see, has come all the way up to the beach, right up to the sand dunes. So be a gatherer. Be a gatherer of people, be a gatherer of opportunity, and be the connector, be the magic glue that brings good people together and introduces people. So the other thing here that the author talks about is when you ask for help, the advice is that you need to be specific in the help that you ask for. And when you ask for help, make sure that the asking, you keep it to less than 5 minutes. You don't want to overwhelm people with your problems. You just want to briefly tell them what's eating away at you, what's causing you grief, where you need help, and be specific in terms of how that person can actually help you, even if it means just listening to you rather than doing something about it. So the last point to come from this book, summary, is point number 3, where the author asks us and encourages us to aim to form meaningful connections by asking genuine questions about each other, because meaningful relationships are much better than just having best friends. You need to have friendships, you need to have relationships with your family and with people around you that are meaningful and not just superficial, is the point that the author's making here. And to have meaningful relationships, the author here says that we need to be good listeners, not only good listeners, but great listeners. And don't be too intrusive. Don't ask too many intrusive questions. Be respectful of people's privacy. And I guess just being a listener, just being there to listen to what people have to say, is in itself a tremendous gift, especially to those who are going through difficult times, especially to those who are troubled, especially to those who need the gift of time to help them slowly heal. So the author here says to use the RASA method: to receive, to appreciate, to summarise and to ask. Because people need to feel heard. People who are hurting need to feel heard. And it's the simplest thing in the world to hear somebody and to listen to somebody, because you just need to be present right there and then. Not to be somewhere else, not to be in the distance, in the past or in the future, but to be here and now for them during this hour of need, through this troubled moment, through this troubled eternal now, which is currently being expressed and being felt. So, nodding, playing it back, and asking an important question. Is there anything else you want to say? Is there anything else that is troubling you? Is there anything else that I can specifically help you with? All of these things are important when people are going through tough times. And as we've said before, we've all been through tough times. But when you hear the tough times that other people are going through, sometimes it makes our tough times seem not as tough as what the times that other people are currently experiencing. So my thoughts and prayers are with Peter Canella and his family. And as I said before, I couldn't possibly be able to understand what they're currently going through, only to know that it would be very, very difficult, if not impossible, to make sense of it and to be able to accept it and to deal with it. So may God bless Peter Canella, may God bless, forever bless Jutta, and keep her in his arms, in his presence, to protect her forever and ever, and for that one day to come for all of us, the second coming, where we can all be united as one and to live happily ever after. Because at the end of the day, the Christian message is very, very simple. We come into this world as a gift from God. God creates creation for our enjoyment, for our benefit. And all we need to do is to glorify God and to do the things that are God-pleasing, and to love one another. Let me say it again. And to love one another as we love ourselves, to respect each other, and to know that we're all partners in each other's growth and development. We are all partners in each other's life and experiences, and we are here for each other. We're different from each other. We're here to join each other at different moments along the journey of life. Some stay for longer, others stay for less, but everybody is part of each other's lives for a reason: to enable us to grow and develop, to enable us to express ourselves, to enable us to share in God's glory and to glorify God and to worship God and to do the things, as we said before, that are God-pleasing. So I think that's about it for today. So thank you very much for taking the opportunity for allowing me the opportunity to express myself a lot more deeper than what I'd normally express myself. But today is an important day in all of our lives, and to remember those who came into our lives, who made our lives better, and for those who will not be immediately part of our lives going forward, but who one day will be part of our lives on that day of judgment, and then on that day of the second coming, where we can all celebrate life together and live happily forever and ever. Amen. Yassas, take care, and God bless us all. Bye for now.